This is the 3-Point Line, and I'm John D. Reinhart. Today we're wrestling with this railway tank car. Although you won't find this image on skippertywhistles.com, it's made exactly the same way as those are over there. If you like those images, this is how they're made. As is by now legion, we start with a 960 by 540 point artboard, the perfect size for Skipperty Whistles. It's composed of 3 layers, borderless white background on number 1, our reference image on number 2, and our drawing on number 3. We make sure and lock 1 and 2, so we just don't screw things up. We draw with a 3-point fuchsia line. 3 points because it really stands out and it allows us to use 1-point lines that still remain visible in this scale. When the image gets put onto the website, a half-point line becomes like a little ghost. Fuchsia is my color of choice because it just plain stands out against the reference image. Our photograph is of a liquid propane gas, LPG, heavy hauler made by a company called Trinity Rail. She regularly hauls 33,000 gallons of fuel between New Jersey and Quebec. She's a jacketed car, providing us with a smooth side, minimal hardware image. Because our tank car is part of a train, we're taking the unusual step of graying out the preceding car that occludes our view. Yes, graying out the occlusion, I did say that. We'll put it on another layer, and then we'll turn off that layer to use later. We have entered a world of crazy curviness. If you believe in Beziers, this is the best. Despite all the curves, the long frames of our car present quite a challenge in dragging them across the vast real estate of this image. I had envisioned using 1-point lines on the springs of this truck. For clarity's sake, we'll assume the train is traveling right to left, making this the leading truck. I don't know why it's important, but I'm certain that it is. In this scale, the coils of the springs are exactly 3 points. So here's a thing that's weird, but we just have to talk about. Is we're looking at these springs as they appear at 600 or 800 times their regular size. The viewer will probably never notice that we're putting rounded endpoints on these springs. The rounding softens them, giving them a slightly different appearance than everybody else. As we've said before, as these are only ever going to be 2-dimensional drawings, they need to look right, but they don't necessarily need to be right. And so it is with these little coil springs. Now, one thing that the 3-point line does not support well is the diminishing details due to distance on an object as large as this one. The trailing truck is particularly challenging, simply because it's hard to see. The outside support, I think that's actually a steel casting, hangs unbelievably low over the wheels, like maybe something's wrong down there. These details would all be better represented by 1-point lines because they're so darn small, but that would make the rail car seem to disappear in a fog. You can see what I'm talking about with these little stirrups under the tank. Drawing them in 1 point seems right for the image, but compared to those on the leading end, they seem to just drift away. The 1 point serves us well in detailing this little cluster of machinery over here. Looks like a hydraulic pump or something. It actually provides a nice point of interest in this long cylindrical car. In support of that cylindricality, these ghostly little seams provide us with a nice circumferential reference. Who wrote this? Anyway, we'll do them in 1-point lines, as when you look at the reference image, they're actually pretty hard to see, but they give us a nice contour. The deal is that this series of heavy-duty LPG haulers feature a thick insulating jacket around the tank. It protects the contents from temperature extremes and hides all the details for our picture. Thank you so very much. Likewise, this little turret up on the top, it's got a mega heavy safety dome over it to protect all the detailed valve work we would otherwise get to illustrate. It's a great example of industrial minimalism, clean, simple design that leaves your friendly illustrator with precious little to do. Now down here, the wheels are surprising nothing burgers. Of course they're not powered, which means they're just axles and wheels. Dolesville in detail land. What's curious is that the lack of detail down here makes it look like there's something missing. Well, the rails aren't part of the tank car, but they help to give it a presence. Getting them parallel, well, now that's another story. As usual, we made sure that all these lines crossed one another at some point, so that when we apply our live paint, we get a complete tank car coloring page. It's nice to know they don't paint these guys yellow in the field. It's a challenge to find a dark color that is darker than the black outlines, but looks dark and still allows us to go almost black inside the trucks. Now we're hiding a lot of detail with dark shadows, but looking at it in real life, there are no details, just dark shadows. As we're drawing a tank car, not this tank car, we'll be leaving the markings off. Although they are a prominent feature on the ones you see in the train, they don't affect the character of our illustration. It's still a tank car. Now in all, it took almost 2 hours to make this drawing, although a big piece of that was figuring out how to manage the grayed out car. But I think the results are well worth the effort. You can visit skippertywhistles.com to see hard-working images just like this one, hard at work. If you like this illustration, you could pop a like on this video, which, if you like that, you could subscribe to. It's all coming together now. I'm John D. Reinhart, and thank you for watching this episode of The 3 Point Line.